Today's Music Talk finds 19-year-old Sofia Mills shopping for jeans at the mall. Fortunately, she had time to talk to us about her new album, Baby Magic, and her recent move from the family home in Massachusetts to the strange and foreign land that is Los Angeles.
Woke up in your new apartment in your twin-sized bed. Coffee starting, don't remember much. All I know is that you talk too much. Time to go.
So it's a pretty big move, especially at your age, to move from was it Massachusetts that you were from?
Yeah.
To California. What's it been like? Has it been like a culture shock?
I mean, it's been a major culture shock. It's also not my favorite place in the world. I try to be really positive. At the end of the day, I don't like it. I'm here for work. Here's the thing. I'm here for work, and it's been wonderful for work. And I feel like I've had so many opportunities to play shows now. And I feel like for my career and for being a musician, this is the best place for me to be right now.
Yep.
But if all this could have been happening in Boston, I would have preferred it. Right. I'm very much an East Coast girl. I like the cold weather. I like the anger and the bitterness.
Right, that's all good stuff, huh?
I like when people are direct. I like I love the work style in the East Coast. It's very fast paced. It's very proactive. And I found that that's very different here. Not necessarily. I mean, people here obviously do their jobs wonderfully, but it's a very different way of working, which is something that I'm very structured. I'm very committed to doing what I want to do when I want to do it. And here it's very relaxed and if it happens, it happens. And blah, blah, blah. And it drives me insane. So it's been a lot of frustration, but I mean, for the most part, it's been good. It is just a major culture shock. I moved from Rockport, Massachusetts, which is a town. It's like a little. It's a little town. It's on an island. It's like 6,000 something people. A lot of the population are older, retired people.
Right.
So I have not experienced anything. And so coming here, it was oh my God, so much is happening.
Gotcha. Well, here you are. So
here I am.
There you go. So the album itself is called what? Baby Magic. And so was it recorded as a whole? Were the songs kind of thought of as a part of an album, or were they kind of bit by bit?
I never ever write with an intention. I can't write with an intention, or else I just cannot write. So I had written all these songs, accumulated a few over time, and then I talked to my manager, and she was like, "You realize you have enough songs for an album now?" And I was like, that makes sense. And it worked out kind of conveniently, because I mean, as I was writing them, it was close enough together to where there was still, I don't know if I would call it a storyline, but it was still consistent, content wise, and my age, how I was feeling at that time. And so they worked well together anyway. So and I when I went into recording them and my producer John Mark Nelson was producing it, then it's we were going into it with the intention of, okay, we're doing an album, but everything was already written beforehand.
All right. So speaking of John Mark Nelson, how did you come to work with him, and how did you work with him?
I think my manager reached out to him, and I just listened to his music that was his own stuff, and I really liked it. I thought that it fits the vibe of what I wanted for my own album, and so we just started working together. Pretty easy.
And so who did what? Because a producer can be anything. You could be guys sitting in the corner reading a newspaper, or you could be all over the place.
That's very true. He did the what's it called? He did all the I wrote the songs, and then we would brainstorm about what other instruments I would want and what type of like percussion I would want, and like all
Right.
these different, like we would kind of map it out together, and then he would make it happen. And so he would like make it all clean cut, add the different instruments, redo my like god awful guitar playing, all of that stuff.
All right. Well, the album kicks off with a song called Dream Girl. So tell me a little bit about how that came together and how you worked with John and how you wrote the song and when and all that stuff.
I wanna be your dream girl. I wanna dance until our feet bleed. I wanna be your dream girl. I wanna love that looks just like me.
I wrote the song, I believe it was 2020, if not maybe 2019, but I'm pretty sure it was 2020. It just came to me the way all my other songs come to me. I get really tired and sad and I don't do anything for months on end, and then I get like a fun 15-minute burst of like, oh, it's time to write something, and then it goes away for another 6 months. So but it's great, it's not frustrating at all. And I wrote it, and I had always had like big, I don't know, like plans, which is funny because that's a lyric, but I always had like big plans for it. I always knew that I either wanted a music video, or I mean, at first I wanted to release it during Pride Month because it's about being in love with a girl. Right. But it's like, you know, I've always just thought that it like holds its own so well, and I love that song. And so it was, I think it was the first one that John and I produced, or he produced, we worked on together. And it kind of, I don't know, because I was already so passionate about it, hearing that like first draft back from him, we're like, oh, it actually had drums and it actually kind of sounded like a song. It was like, I was so excited.
Gotcha.
And that kind of like motivated me to do the rest of the album.
Uh-huh. Now, speaking of music videos, there's a video for Life at the Party. So, yes. And some guitar in there. I have, of course.
Do you hate it?
No, I mean, no.
All the blood in it is a very sensitive topic for my family.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, your family doesn't want to see that.
Yeah.
But you know, more distanced is better. So why did you make that video like that?
Well, I definitely, so the music video is about what it's like being in a relationship with someone who has a bit of a savior complex.
Right.
Not bit of, just fully a savior complex. And I wanted to make a music video about that. But when you're talking about such an emotional topic, it's really, really hard to convey that. Right. And what I was trying to express is like, you're in a relationship with someone, and the worse you feel, the better they feel, or like the better they look. And so I really felt like the best way to translate that was through something like blood and like physical pain, because as well as just being more obvious, you know, you can see it. It's also like, I think it's important to match that energy. Like, I feel like being in a relationship with someone who has a savior complex is disgusting and horrible and scary. And it's like, so I feel like the reaction, the shock that the blood gives is the reaction that a relationship like that should warrant in a way. So I felt like translating that would make sense.
Gotcha. Yep. So other than your family members, what's the reaction been to the video from your fans?
A lot of people love it, really. Okay. I mean, I had a lot of inspiration from like, obviously like Carrie and especially Jennifer's Body. Right. And I feel like somehow, which like I thought was really convenient, Jennifer's Body, like audios and like fashion started trending on TikTok right around the time that we were filming it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and it was a total coincidence. And I was like, oh my God. And so I feel like even if like before that, people would have been like, ew, gross, because it was kind of trendy. People after were like, oh my God, it's so cool. So it was really nice.
Very good. Now the title track, Baby Magic, is it sounds particularly autobiographical, although I have to say most of them do. And I'm not being flippant, but I do love the fact that you rhymed psych ward with skateboard. So
You do? Oh, thank you.
what can you tell me about the song itself? What does it mean to you?
January's cutting in like cop lights in the rear view. I watched a couple movies and remembered that I love you. And I miss my friend Amanda that I met back in the psych ward. I wish I could have stayed so she could teach me how to skateboard.
It's mainly about I had this weird period in like, I believe it was like 7th grade to like my sophomore or junior year in high school,
Right.
where I was just like super like the point of being mentally ill where you're like untreated because like, or not treated in the right way, because you know, like I'm from the East Coast, I have a small family, like we were all trying to figure out kind of what was going on, and obviously like your parents aren't going to be the encyclopedia for everything, so like we were like trying different meds and therapists and things like that, and so it was just kind of this long period of time where I felt kind of floaty and weird and numb, and like I was going to hospitals, I was like doing a bunch of mental health work and stuff like that. And it was just very like, I don't know, looking back on it, I can't remember everything because it was very just like a period that was droning on where I was just not myself.
Right.
And so I wanted to, now that I'm obviously in a better place and I'm also more of an adult than I was when I was 14, I would like to like look back on that and write about it, because even though it wasn't like, I don't know, even though it's not something that I remember perfectly clearly, I think it was one of the most transformative periods in my life. There was this one girl in the psych ward that I was in, and she, I don't know, she was just like really cool. And I think it was like the first time that I had met another girl, you know, because like I was in a small high school my entire life, you know, and so I got there and it was people from like all over Massachusetts. And so like I met her and I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. And it was just one of those like first female friendships where you kind of like fall in love with the idea of somebody. And it kind of like gave me hope to get out, because I was like, oh my God, when I get out, I'm going to buy all those clothes and I'm going to cut my hair like that. And I'm going to be so cool. And so I don't know, I just thought, oh no, I wanted to incorporate her, and I obviously changed her name for confidentiality, but I wanted to incorporate her in the record as well.
Okay. Now, one song that I wanted to touch on, just because it sounds a little bit different than the others, is Bite. It's more of a rocker, I guess. For want of a better word.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened there.
Well, on my EP, actually, All My Pals, which was like released in August of 2020, I have a song called Someone New. And I honestly wanted that same vibe as Bite or Someone New, but I didn't have any of the resources to. You know, like I didn't have enough money to work with a producer that I felt like I matched with. I didn't, I wasn't, I don't know, I didn't have the ability to create it like that. And so that's always been something that I wanted to replicate, that kind of vibe, because I wasn't able to.
Yep.
And someday I would love to re-release it as more of a Bite song, but I don't know. I love that like rock kind of like angry girl mentality and sound. I think it's wonderful. And I think it's so fucking fun. It's just so fun to like have a song. Like most of my songs on the record, I'm like, I'm sad, I'm angry, all this whatever.
Yeah.
And like, but having Bite, which is a song that like sounds angry, is I think it's a fun contrast. Plus, like it's fun to sing and like perform. I've only practiced it with other bands, but like it's fun. And I think even though it's looking at the full record, I feel like a lot of it is sad. And so I just wanted something that sounded more fun.
Cool. All righty. Now I noticed you in my research, you do have a lot of covers that you've posted over the years.
Yeah.
And the one that I particularly like was "I Melt with You."
I'm glad you liked it. That's my favorite too.
I remember that from back in the day. I think I saw Modern English back in the early '80s sometime. So how did you come across that song?
I want them to notice it so bad. I love that song. I've always loved that song.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. You've seen the difference and it's getting better all the time. There's nothing you and I won't do. I'll stop the world and melt with you.
I mean, growing up, like it was on NPR or whatever, and
Right.
I just always love that song. I think it's such, I don't know, the visual of like "I Melt with You." I just love that visual, and it's a damn good song. Like
Yep.
it's fun, and I like it. And so I was thinking about like what songs I could just have fun with and record, and I had like a little list, and it's just that one's always stood out to me. Plus, I don't have a lot of love songs that aren't like "I hate you, you suck." So like, even though it's not my own song, I thought putting my own twist on it and releasing it, I just thought that would be kind of fun to do.
Right. Now, do you get out and perform in front of audiences much these days? Have you been able to do that?
Not too much, but I am starting to. It's just, it's sometimes it's hard because I'm not 21, so some of the venues don't let me in.
That's true, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I have been performing a little bit, maybe like a couple times a month, and it's it's good. It's good. It's very scary. I'm a very like, I don't know. I don't really enjoy it all the time.
Right.
But I think it's just because, and I honestly think it will just improve with time. I think it's an experience thing, but it's like, it's very vulnerable. Like, I can't even sing in front of my friends and parents because it's like the songs I wrote are like, I want to kill myself. I hate everything. And so it's like singing that in front of a crowd of people who I don't know is like, oh my God, ew. Because I hate talking about myself, but all my songs are me talking about myself.
Gotcha.
So it's like,
that's a problem.
But I think it's just something that I'll get used to. Plus, like when I'm playing shows where there are like legitimate like fans in the crowd who like know the words and stuff like that, I feel like that's when I'll really feel like motivated more.
And do you usually play solo, or do you have a band backing you up, or how do you present yourself?
I play solo, yeah. I think it's just, I don't know. Frankly, having a band is very expensive, and I don't.
Yeah, I know. So you mentioned how a lot of your songs are kind of love songs about bad relationships and all that. So when you come up with your next record, do you think you kind of have this kind of out of your system? Do you see yourself writing different types of songs, or is this kind of where you're at?
I mean, I think writing songs like that, I mean, a big part of who I am as an artist is I love relating to / validating my audience. So I think I'll always write songs along those lines just because it's such a universal thing, and I like to connect that way. But also, and this is kind of funny because I'm in LA and I moved to LA and I got a boyfriend, and this is the first boyfriend that I've ever had that's like not a total dick.
Well, that's a plus.
And so I'm like, how am I supposed to write anything? Like, be mean to me so I can write a song. Like,
you can write happy songs.
That's the thing. I don't know why. They just don't come naturally to me. So it's like, I don't know. So it's pretty like interesting to see how that dynamic has changed. And then like, I don't know. I mean, I think I'll write a lot of songs on my next record, probably about feeling lonely. Cause coming to LA, moving here has been lonely.
Yep.
And then like, probably having imposter syndrome, which I obviously, and just things like that. I think it will shift kind of, from like love focused albums to like more self-focused in the sense of like talking about moving and whatever, just not like relationships as much.
Right. So do you think you'll be traveling back home to perform and stuff once the record's out?
I don't think so. I don't think I have time. Honestly, like I don't think I have time. But my parents are actually coming out to LA to visit me in late May, which is going to be fun because
Right.
my album's going to be out. And so it's just going to feel honestly like such a load off, because it's like having these songs in my back pocket for this long. It's like, get them away from me now. Like I just,
Yep.
I feel like it's like I'm shedding that skin once it's out, and then I have more freedom to write more, if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Very good.